Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. The personality of Kali asked for something more, and because of his begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold, because wherever there is gold, there is also falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Although Maharaj Parikshit gave Kali permission to live in 4 places, it was very difficult for him to find the places because during the region of Maharaj Parikshit there was no such places. Therefore Kali asked the king to give him something practical which could be utilized for his nefarious purposes. Maharaj Parikshit thus gave him permission to live in a place where there is gold, because wherever there is gold, there are all the above mentioned 4 things, and over and above them there is enmity also. So the personality of Kali became gold standardized. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, gold encourages falsity, intoxication, prostitution, envy and enmity. Even a gold standard exchange and currency is bad. Gold standard currency is based on falsehood because the currency is not on the par with the reserved gold. The basic principle is falsity because currency notes are issued in value beyond that of actual reserved gold. This artificial inflation of currency by the authorities encourages prostitution and state economy. The price of commodities becomes artificially inflated because of bad money or artificial currency notes. Bad money drives away good money. Instead of paper currency, actual gold should be used for exchange, and this will stop prostitution of gold. Gold ornaments for women may be allowed by control, not by quality, but by quantity. This will discourage lust, envy and enmity. When there is an actual gold currency in the form of coins, the influence of gold in producing false prostitution, etc. will automatically cease. There will be no need of an anti-corruption ministry for another term of prostitution and falsity of purpose. Narayan namaskritam naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jet mudirayed nastapresu bhadresu nityam bhagavati sevayam bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavati naistaki. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktaram yagatapasam sarva loka maheswaram suridam sarabhutanam gyattanam samdhim rachati. I am the Lord and Master of all planets and demigods. I am the center of all activities, and I am the best well-wisher of all living entities. So we see in, when Krishna came 5,000 years back, through his pastimes we see how the palaces, 16,108 palaces, they are jewels, golds, emeralds. There was no need for artificial lights. Everything was... and we see in his pastimes how there were parijata trees in each of the palaces, fulfill all desires. So everything which is in the material world is just a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And because everything was, when Krishna is coming, everything is Krishna-centered, then there is no, none of these qualities manifest, like intoxication, prostitution, falsity, because Krishna is the center of everything. By pleasing him, you become satisfied. And we see even in the pastimes of those who did have, like, let's take the example of King Satyajit. He prayed to the sun god to get, and the sun god gave him the Shamantaka jewel. So the Shamantaka jewel could produce 170 pounds of gold every day. So much gold could be produced from the Shamantaka jewel. And Krishna told him to give that jewel to Ugrasena, King Ugrasena, but Satyajit was too attached to the jewel. And you know the story how he was worshipping that jewel and so much gold was coming, and then his brother took the jewel, Prasena took the jewel on the horse, on his neck. A lion killed him, and then Jambavan killed the lion and took the jewel and gave it to his son. Then Satyajit spread the rumor that maybe Krishna took the jewel. And so Krishna went to investigate, and then he found the lion dead, Prasena dead. Then he went with senior citizens to this place where the big cave was. It was dark inside, and Krishna said, "You stay out and I'll go inside." Then Krishna saw the Shamantaka jewel with this son of Jambavan, and the nurse was there. And when the nurse saw Krishna, she didn't recognize who he was, so she just screamed. And Jambavan, his devotee in Lord Ramachandra's pastime, he was there, so he was a devotee of Lord Ramachandra, but he didn't recognize who Krishna was because he was in an angry mood. Because he attached to the Shamantaka jewel. This is the thing. So material attachment covers our vision. And maybe it was Krishna's pastime in a way. He fought with him for 28 days, and then Jambavan felt all the body's ache, paining. Then he couldn't understand why this was, because he thought he was the strongest living being at that time. Then he recognized who Krishna was. Then he gave his daughter Jambavanti and a Shamantaka jewel. When Krishna explained what happened, that his fame was being falsely, they were saying that he took the jewel, and his in the name of the jewel, his name was not being recognized properly. So then Jambavan gave the jewel and Jambavanti as a gift to Krishna. And then when Krishna came back, he gave the jewel back to Satyajit. And the reason for that is given in Gopal Champu, how Satyajit gave the daughter to Krishna, Satyabhama, because she was worshipping Krishna with devotion. So he accepted her. But that jewel, the Shamantaka jewel, Satyajit didn't get it out of devotion, he got it for his own gains. So Krishna didn't accept that jewel back. He gave it back to Satyajit. And then, and because of that jewel, I think the story goes, I think Akrura was involved, and Ketavama, they were both devotees of the Lord. But because Akrura offended the gopis by not pacifying them, when he took Krishna and Balaram to Vrindavan, the gopis cursed him for hurting their feelings. So he got implicated in this scenario of killing of Satyajit, because he told Ketavama that now is the time for you to take revenge on Satyajit, because the Satyabhama was promised to Satyajit also. To Ketavama, she was promised to Ketavama, something was there. Satyajit promised his daughter to many, but he didn't give. So so Akrura told him, now is your time to take revenge on Satyajit. So in this way Akrura was involved, and Kritavama, because he was taking association of Kamsa, he got contaminated. So we can see even devotees, if they're not serious, they can get affected by the modes and lower modes of nature. So that's what happened in this situation. So we can see how opulence can degrade one if one is not advanced. And we can see how there was a famous story with Dhananjaya Prabhu, how he asked Prabhupada in the early years that we hear that there is a golden mountain in the Himalayas. And if you can tell us where this mountain is, we can get the gold from there and use it for our preaching mission. So Prabhupada told Dhananjaya Prabhu, there is no need to go to the golden mountain. We depend on Krishna. And Prabhupada explained to him that under the snow in the Himalayas, gold is there. But then Prabhupada explained further that the devotees are like jewels. They're more valuable than the gold. So looking after the devotees is more important than getting that gold. And even if that gold was revealed, it'll create many wars. So no need to get that gold. So in this way, there was a few other pastimes with Prabhupada, how I think there was there was one devotee, he got money by drugs, and he was going to use that money for opening a restaurant. And Prabhupada didn't allow that. Prabhupada used that money for food for life. And Prabhupada told him, I'm saving you from going to hell. So like this, Prabhupada was very careful where the money came from. There was another instance in somewhere in America where the money came from some gambling casino or something. It came from not a good source. So the temple was in an emergency. So Prabhupada allowed that money to be used. But second time it happened, Prabhupada didn't allow it. Prabhupada said, if we get money from not a good place like that, we get contaminated. So Prabhupada was very careful like that. And we can see even in Prabhupada's example how when he used to get donations, if he saw that the money wasn't coming from a good place, he would put the money in a donation box. Because Krishna can digest anything, we can't. So like this, Prabhupada showed by his own example how we have to be careful with money, where it's coming from. And if we are and that's one of the qualities of Brahmana. Brahmana he remains poor by nature, he's austere by nature, because that maintains his purity. As soon as a Brahmana takes money and like that, his purity becomes less. So and we see that in the pastime of Shukracharya, that will happen, same thing. When Bali Maharaj was going to give to Lord Vishnu the 3 steps of land, Because Bali Maharaj had everything. He conquered the 3 worlds. And when Vamanadev tied him up with the noose and everything, and then he was going to give the 3 steps, and Sukracharya told Bali Maharaj, don't give to him his Vishnu, he'll take everything from you. So at that time, this is not mentioned in the Bhagavatam, but it's mentioned in some Puranas, explained how before giving the blessing, they say Om, isn't it? Om, the blessing is there. And in the Kamandalu, the water is going or something, he gives a hand. So Sukracharya, with his mystic glance, he was trying to stop that Kamandalu from going into the hand of Bali Maharaj to give the blessing. So Lord Vamanadev, knowing everything, he made that water go into the eye of Sukracharya. And one of his eyes went blind. So eventually, even he had to pray to Lord Vishnu to get his eyesight back. So from this example we can see how everyone is dependent on Krishna ultimately. You can't do anything without Krishna's sanction. And the difficulty in the material world is everyone is trying to be the center of activity. They're trying to imitate Krishna. And everyone's trying to compete with each other to be the top. But we can see even in the material world, it never works out like that anyone becomes top. It's all temporary. It's all based on karma. But we can see in Krishna he's the center in the material world and the spiritual world. Like there's an interesting story because everyone's trying to be the center here. There's always wars and disturbances and so many miseries affecting people, 3 kinds of miseries: body and mind, other living entities, natural disturbances. So I noted some interesting story. So one time, the Pandavas came to Jagannath Puri, and at that time Lord Krishna came from Dwarka to Jagannath Puri, and so during the exile from Hastinapur, the 5 brothers traveled to Purushottam Kshetra, where Lord Krishna came to visit them from Dwarka. At that time there was a tunnel leading through the earth planet down into the lower Patala planetary system. Numerous demons used to come up through that passage to cause havoc on the earth. Lord Krishna and the Pandavas subdued these demoniac forces, then blocked their route. After the battle, Lord Krishna requested Lord Shiva to guard the blocked hole, and since then Lord Shiva has become famous as Balashvara. So we can see how Lord Krishna is the center of activity here. He's protecting the he's ultimate center of everything. So even the non-devotees, they don't recognize, but ultimately without Krishna's sanction, even they cannot do what they're doing. And in the Nectar of Devotion, it explains that when Krishna used to do going to some place, like even in Mahabharata times, the demons didn't feel how do you say, they didn't feel disturbed, because they knew Krishna won't do anything without any reason. They understood that Krishna is very fair. Some demons recognize this point about Krishna, that he's very fair in his activities. He doesn't do anything without any reason behind doing something. So so we can see even when Krishna is coming, he's teaching, he's behaving in such a way, even he's changing the heart of the non-devotees to become devotees. So as far as devotees go, our thing should be that we should be simple. We can use opulence for Krishna, but for ourselves we should be simple. And Sanatana Goswami showed that in his example when he had a touchstone. And the touchstone was put in the rubbish pile. And a person who was worshipping Lord Shiva for the highest benediction, Lord Shiva said, go to Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan, he'll give you the highest benediction. So when this person arrived in Vrindavan, he saw the touchstone in a rubbish pile. And he took it. And the touchstone, if you touch metal, it becomes gold. But somehow he wasn't feeling happy after this. He thought, why is it put in a rubbish place if it's so valuable? He must have something higher. So then he went back to Sanatana Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami said, he told him, throw this touchstone in the Yamuna. And then Sanatana Goswami gave him the Maha Mantra. So devotees themselves are simple in their way of serving Krishna. And Prabhupada comments in one of the purports in Bhagavad Gita, he says, if opulence comes to a devotee, if he can use that for Krishna, then it's good. And if Krishna wants that devotee to be simple, he should be simple. So there was a pastime of King Purushottam. He was before King Indradumna or King Prataparudra. And his wife had a gold ring on her nose. So she wanted to give that ring to Sakshi Gopal. But when they went to take darshan of Sakshi Gopal, they didn't see the hole or anything. But her desire was there to give the ring. So she had a dream, and Sakshi Gopal appeared in her dream and said, when I was a young boy, my mother pierced a hole in my nose. So she came with, the queen came with Purushottam Dev. Then they gave that gold ring as a gift to Sakshi Gopal. So we can see certain Kshatriyas, they would have gold and like this, because they could use it for like he says here, guiding people on a certain way, and they had to use it because they lived in big palaces and all this, so they had to use it for certain things. But we can see that devotees were very reserved in their approach in these kind of things. It says in the glories of the 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita, it explains how this person, he was holding his wealth. He wasn't sharing with others. And when he died, he became a snake. And then he was appearing in the dreams of his grandsons that, please come here and take this wealth. So, Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda ki Jai. So eventually they found his hole and they dug the hole out and they found a snake there. So they were thinking, all this wealth is here. But then the snake started speaking to them, and said, you know why I become a snake? Because I was attached to holding this wealth. So he said, now to free me from this snake body, we should recite 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita every day. Then his grandchildren, they use all that wealth for Krishna service, and they started reciting 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita every day. Then they achieve perfection in that way. So we can see how it says if one can conquer women, wealth and fame, one can conquer the world. So Prabhupada explained this point. He said, when he refers to women, it means, because Prabhupada explains, it's even worse to associate with a man who's attached to women. So we can see even women can be advanced in spiritual life. There are many examples of that in our line of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. If we can conquer someone who's on the bodily platform, wealth and fame, we can conquer the world. So what we are doing in the Krishna consciousness movement, what we are practicing, is a challenge to the world. Because the modern day education is based on the bodily platform, how to enjoy wealth, how to be the center of activity, how to exploit nature, how to use wealth for oneself. And the other thing is, the worst thing is, nowadays they are make man-made laws, but they break God's laws. So that all leads to degradation. So there's another interesting story I looked up. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. Okay. So in a Jagannath temple in Jagannath Puri, it says that there's a sevak who goes up to fix the chakra. He climbs the Garuda Stamba. Okay. Okay. Propagate chanting. Okay. Yes, okay. Sri Mandir is 80 feet square on the ground, rising almost 250 above road level. The Sudarshan disc atop the jewel was installed by King Ramachandra Dev in 1594. It is made of 8 metals and has a circumference of about 36 feet and a diameter of almost 12 feet. Every afternoon, the Garuda Seva climbs to the top of the Sri Mandal and fastens a number of flags to the most fixed to Nilachala Chakra. These flags are either bright red or yellow and have a crescent moon and sun in the middle, signifying that Lord Jagannath's kingdom is everywhere in the universe where the sun and moon shine. So we can see even Lord Jagannath's opulence is he says when the British were ruling India, they say they stole the crown of Jagannath. I think it's some British museum or something. And at some point they were trying to come to the chambers of Jagannath, and these dresses were Lord Jagannath wears over a certain time. They were trying to enter these chambers, and all of a sudden fire came in on the doors of these chambers. Fire just came out, and there were snakes everywhere. So they couldn't enter any further. So, and there was another temple in South India somewhere, Vishnu deity, and the government found in these chambers so much gold, and the king at that time told the government ministers that this gold is for the deities, not our gold. And the king also told them, if anyone opens these chambers, he'll die immediately. So government, they were trying to find out further about this, if what they're saying is true. So they sent some of their people to find out. As soon as they opened the door, one of them died. But they found so much gold in this place. Famous deity of Vishnu, quite old. Forget the name. But it shows ultimately Krishna is the center. He owns everything. And if we use everything for him, then we'll become happy and peaceful. We use for ourselves, we become dissatisfied and not happy. So it's to our benefit that Prabhupada said, this is why knowledge is considered very valuable actually. Knowledge, by understanding through proper knowledge, when our conviction of Krishna becomes strong, then we'll find everything becomes easy for us. There was an interesting pastime I read in Gopal Champu, how Krishna recovers the son of his guru, Sandipani Muni, because they learn 64 hours in 64 days, and then they wanted to give a dakshin to Sandipani Muni. So they said, what do you want? So then he discussed with his wife and said, we want our son back who died in the ocean. So Krishna Balaram went to the ocean god came up, and they said there was a demon, Panchajanya, maybe he's swallowed the demon, your son up. So Krishna dove in and they killed Panchajanya. They couldn't find the son. So then they went to Yamaloka. So when Krishna arrived in Yamaloka, all the hellish, the living entities, they're suffering hellish situations. One of them they're throwing boiling oil, the other one is they're stitched up, another they get thrown off a mountain. So all these hellish situations where the living entities were suffering, they all lost their potency. And all the living entities who were suffering, they regained their spiritual youth. And they were being taken back to Godhead. In other words, they got elevated in life. So even Yamaraj, who was doing his duties, punishing living entities, he had this nature of correcting situations. Even he started crying incessantly, and his nature became soft-hearted. So this shows how just by having Krishna center, everything became full of joy and happiness and eternity. So, so the same thing is available to us through chanting the holy name, to seeing through the eyes of scriptures, taking the association of devotees, chanting and feasting. And I'll stop here. Any comments or questions? Okay, Mataji's got a question. I don't know. Any mic or okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a very nice class. It's really nice to hear the different stories that you researched. I just have a question about the gopis and the curse that they gave Akrura. Like, even I'm not saying that we're the gopis anymore, but I'm just saying in our mundane life, if somebody hurts your feelings, normally as women, we just cry and then you curse. So what happens we're Shudras, of course, so nothing happens, but what happens to this whole idea where like devotees are like cursing each other?
No, the thing
because
is,
their feelings are hurt.
No, the thing is, you have to understand in this way, that because Akrura didn't pacify them, he just took Krishna Balram away.
Yeah.
He should have pacified them. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
So we can learn from that. Even if you're having some dealings with some devotees or something, and we're doing some other plan,
Yeah.
we have to pacify the devotees before we do our plan. That's my understanding. You can't just ignore the devotees and just do your own program.
Yeah.
That's what happened in this case with
Gopis.
the gopis, that Akrura didn't even pacify them. He said, this is a situation I've come with and I'm just doing my duty. I'm okay whichever way Krishna wants me to go, I'm happy to go that way. He didn't pacify the gopis. He just took Krishna Balram on the chariot, and in Gopachandra explains further, explaining how Akrura took the long route round to the forest. He didn't go through the road because he wanted to avoid the gopis. So that shows that he upset them in that way, that he just tried to avoid them completely. So that's why they became angry with him. If he just pacified them, they would have been okay, So same thing for us in our devotional life. We have to face up to challenges. We can't just ignore devotees. If we have a conflict, if devotees are easygoing and they're in good standing, we should have more mutual dealings. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, if a devotee is affected by the mode of passion ignorance, he should be respecting from a distance. Because even if you interact with him, he won't change. But someone who's an advanced devotee, you can't just ignore them. You have to have nice dealings. And obviously from their side, they will give their blessings. In this case, Akrura didn't do that. He just ignored the gopis completely. So that's why they became upset with him.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for your class. When you were talking about Brahmanas, you were saying that they avoid like wealth and gold because it like destroys their purity. And you mentioned that they become austere, they are austere by nature. So I just wanted to ask about this. So us who are, probably trying to become more Brahminical in our Krishna consciousness as we're progressing, we're trying to have more of these Brahminical qualities. Should we, how should we add this aspect of austerity into our life so that we can become more Brahminical, because it's part of the nature of a Brahman to be austere? I don't know if you have...
Well, you have to do those things which increase your hearing and chanting about Krishna. If something's coming in the way of that, you have to avoid it. It's like, for example, Narottam Das Thakur, he says, avoid jnanis, thagis, yogis and mixed devotees. So, if you're spending time with someone who's not open to change, then you have to be careful. Because you don't want to go down to their level. You have to bring them to temple standard, not to their level. So this is the challenge of devotees when they're preaching. That you have to know what level in terms of how much the person is willing to come to. Because whoever you associate with, you'll become like. So if you're going to be with outside householders too much, you'll take on that quality. Unless they're very serious in their practices in terms of having temple standards. Like I had the good fortune of having an association with a householder devotee. He was doing 32 rounds a day. He was reading Prabhupada's books regularly. He was preaching. And this was in Leicester in the early years. So, just by the association, that kept me going in my Krishna consciousness. So, main thing is to be with those who are serious. Because devotional service is like a razor's edge. You have to be pure devotional service is it says Krishna will give you many things, whatever you desire. He'll give you, but he won't give himself to you. Because once he gives himself, he's giving everything to you. Then he's allowing you to control him. Or like there's a quote in Prabhupada, he says, Cleopatra, she conquered many men, right? Yeah. But the thing is, but then that doesn't mean that she conquered God. To conquer God, you have to have devotion. This is the point. Any other questions, comments? Or David?
Hare Krishna, Srinivas Prabhu, thanks for the class. I think that the deity that you were speaking about, I think it may have been Balaji. Yes. Sorry.
Balaji?
Yes, South Indian deity.
No, it's not Balaji, it's some other deity. Padmanabha Goswami, that's the one, yeah. They found a lot of gold in that Padmanabha Goswami, isn't it? Recently, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Anyone else? Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.